ask yourself the damn question. Is winning the only thing to you?
Sports today are not just played on the field. They're played every day, online, all over the world, by sports fans just like you.
Don't you dare breathe. That won't get you anywhere. If you don't think you're a winner, you don't belong here.
The Star Fantasy League Show puts you in control of your own team. Find out who to sit, who to start, how to play, and have your daily fantasy sports questions answered with your host, Jonathan Sprung, and co-host SFL CEO Zach Stanley and Nick Steblenko. The Star Fantasy League Show is on the air now.
Hello and welcome to the Star Fantasy League Show here on 105.5 The Team in Rochester. I am your host, Jonathan Sprung, joined, as always, by SFL CEO, Mr. Zach Stanley.
Oh, crap, John, I forgot my pen.
Oh, no.
I'm going to have to go get it out of my locker.
Okay. All right. I prepped for that one.
You're right, it is all right.
I can't deal with you. How do I do this show every single day knowing that the pun train is just coming into the station, and I do nothing about it?
When it comes to fantasy sports, my nickname is the Hunter.
All right, that's 2. Nick Steblenko, Teddy Bear 2.
No, that's actually 3 because I said all right.
Oh.
Kendall Wright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's 3. Nick, you got any for us?
No, not really. I don't have any good ones today. Or do I?
I did go to a Jesuit school, but I never contemplated being a bishop.
Do I have to be part of this show anymore? How about I just introduce it and then just go away until you're done with your puns?
I would give you $100 if you can come up with one for Mettenberger.
That'd be actually pretty good. I would be impressed. I would hand over the reins of the Star Fantasy League show to you if you could do a Zach Mettenberger one.
Well, he does have my name.
Oh, just Mettenberger, not Zach, just Mettenberger.
He's got the H.
Yeah. What's with these SEC quarterbacks being backups? We talked about McCarron a couple days ago. We got Andy Murray going around. We'll talk about him next week probably.
The Otter Lodge has a pretty good Mettenberger.
No.
That was
bacon.
Okay. That's the point of the show where we have to move on because let's be honest, that was just poor.
That was a bit of a McCluster.
There we go. You turned it around. I love it.
Is the Outer Lodge where Mettenberger took one in the eye, or is that just some random bar? No?
We're moving on.
Okay.
That got a little weird, as always. All right, as you can tell from all of the Tennessee Titan-related puns, we are talking about the Tennessee Titans 2014-15 outlook today on the Star Fantasy League show.
Or are we?
No, we are.
Or.
I already did that one.
No. Fail. All right, so we are talking about the Tennessee Titans. We're doing every single team, 32 days of this. I have to deal with all these puns just raining down on me. It's uncomfortable.
I thought about it. I was like, man, this is a really good day.
This is a punny day. It's really punny. Wonderful.
Good thing I don't have to carry a walker.
There we go. He's got another one for me. This is just going to continue. The first segment of the show today. If you guys are not interested in puns, just don't tune in.
This is the longest that we've made it.
Well, to be fair, the Tennessee Titans are a little bit of a sad sack. They're just a team that's kind of floundering in the middle, like really floundering in the middle. But before we get to the Tennessee Titans, I want to talk about the big stories of the day. And it's Brian Scalabrine. It's the big story of the day. I hate to tell you guys.
That's the big story of the day.
No, it's not. But I wanted to bring this up. If you haven't read the article, everybody's familiar with the LeBron James I'm Coming Home article in SI. Did a really good job. Brian Scalabrine wrote a similar article. It's just a parody of it, but he actually talks about how he's coming back to do broadcasting for the Boston Celtics and how it's one of his dreams to go home and all this, but it talks about how he actually didn't find a job anywhere else and it's kind of had to take whatever was available to it. It was really, you have to read it. He makes a lot of good jokes and kind of makes fun of LeBron James for being kind of a baby.
Fan favorite. Total fan favorite, Scale.
Yeah, if you don't love Brian Scalabrine's A1 clapping on the bench, you're doing something wrong in fandom. You really are.
I'm indifferent.
Oh, come on.
So I guess that's the story, huh?
I'm just saying. So to our fans, if you haven't read it, go online, search Coming Home, Brian Scalabrine. If you don't laugh at least once, tweet me at SFL Show. I will give you – no. I'm not giving you nothing.
You don't even give everybody your Twitter handle. How can they tweet you about this?
I control the SFL Show Twitter, so I win. You don't have it, do you?
I can control it, yeah.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, God damn it. Fine. All right, the other thing I want to talk about before we get into the Tennessee Titans is David Wilson's he's 23, right?
Yep.
23 years old, forced into medical retirement. What do you guys think about this? Because I feel like this is really depressing because we never really got to see anything from this guy. He was completely bashed last year for being a fantasy. What's a word worse than dud? Bomb?
Flop.
No, that's not worse than dud. Flop's just like eh.
I would say flop is
How about
worse.
catastrophe?
Sure. I wouldn't say he was a catastrophe, though. Injuries happen.
No, but okay, week 1 last year, how many yards did he have? Like 7? -4 fantasy.
Well, to be fair, they didn't have a very good line. Actually, one of the worst lines I've ever seen last year in New York.
Well, then who are we blaming? What happened with Peyton Hillis then? He did something.
For like a game.
Yeah, exactly.
So, no, it's very sad that somebody with his promise and web of talents is out of the league this early, because I was looking forward to seeing what he was capable of doing, and seeing this year, everybody thought that he might be able to come back from his neck surgery, and clearly that's been revisited, and it's just not going to work out for him. But I was really hopeful that he would be able to make an impact and prove the naysayers wrong a little bit, but it's not. Alas, it's not going to happen. And we've seen this in the NFL before.
Look at it this way. I mean, the average NFL player sticks around for what, 3-4 years, maybe. That's usually their career. This guy he's got a new chance at life here. He doesn't have to go into his post-NFL life worrying about whether or not he's going to be able to walk in 10 to 20 years. He's actually going to be able to walk now. So the doctors caught something ahead of time, and I think this is a very good thing for him. I know this is not what he wanted to hear, and I don't think it's what any Giants fan wanted to hear or any fan of David Wilson wants to hear. But the guy actually gets to live a normal life now, instead of some of the players that we've seen over the past decade that are coming out and saying all of these concussion problems and back problems and leg problems are hindering them from leading a normal life. So you got to take the positives out of this one. It's a tough loss, but it is what it is. You got to take the best that you can and move on.
Kind of makes me think how lucky we are that we were able to see more of Peyton Manning, because if anything had gone wrong with his surgery and his recovery, he could just as easily not be playing right now.
I'll say even one bad hit, one bad fall, just something going wrong in any facet of the game.
And then we wouldn't have seen the most historical offense in the history of the game.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the most historical blowout in the Super Bowl.
No, I mean, this was they were the best offense in NFL history. We never would have seen it.
They were indeed. And on that note, I think we need to move from the best offense in history to a team.
This offense.
Just a team. We're talking about the 2014-15 Tennessee Titans. Last year, 7-9.
They're second in the AFC South. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, considering the bottom two teams had a combined 6 wins?
Something like that.
Yeah, it was 4 for Jacksonville, 2 for Houston. So,
hey,
good
whatever,
on you.
man.
Good on
whatever,
you.
Man. They got to take their win and roll on with it.
Actually, that doesn't even help, because out of their 7 wins, out of their 9 losses, they lost to both those teams, Houston and Jacksonville. That's embarrassing. They could have been 9.
I'm actually excited for the prospects of this team this year. I think they would be too.
For some reason, we managed to, even with the crappiest teams in the NFL, like the Jets, like the Jaguars, we find a nut for every one of these teams.
Why were they crappy last year?
Because Jake Locker, although Ryan Fitzpatrick
wasn't really there. He was hurt.
I know, but
Ryan Fitzpatrick was He
was okay.
Chris Johnson decided that he wasn't going to play running back very well anymore.
No. He was going to play running back poorly, but he was going to catch balls for 90 yards every game.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think that, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what this team actually has, too, because if Jake Locker can play 16 games, he actually was one of the top prospects coming out of college during his draft year. And then they do have Bishop Sankey, who has been touted as a possible, top 20 running back, I guess you could say, which is fair enough. That's good, especially in his rookie season. And you have Kendall Wright. And Kendall Wright's actually he's been very good for this team.
And you have Justin Hunter. There's a good group of exciting youth on this team. They brought in Delaney Walker, who's still young, proved very capable.
Just a lot of questions and a really high ceiling. So, I mean, they have a lot to prove and a lot to find out.
They're certainly one of these teams I could see them going any which way. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I could see them winning 4 games. I could see them winning 12 games. There is really
12?
I could see a situation where Jake Locker stays healthy the whole year and actually plays up to his potential.
They cannot win over.
I don't think 12.
I think 9 is the max by far.
I think they might.
They could have
won 9. Pull off 10. They could pull off 10.
Hold on.
That would be a shock. I would be very shocked. But 9, yes, I believe is more.
They should have won 9 last year. Again, they lost to Houston and they lost to Jacksonville and still won 7 games. So I'm saying 12 is completely out of the realm of possibility. But it could happen in a weird, bizarre way if something happens to this team and they actually meld together. They get over this whole negative thing with Chris Johnson and Kenny Britt both being just basically cancers on this team. Let's be honest. Kenny Britt is a guy you do not want on your team.
Well, I don't agree at all because his injuries were a major problem for that team. He was a number one wide receiver
his
when he was
off-field
healthy.
issues ended up factoring a lot less into why they had to let this guy go.
Well,
It just looked like, it basically looked like his career had floundered because of the surgeries that he's had to have.
Yep.
I
guess we'll get to
you
find
thought,
out
you thought
in
his
St.
knees were
Louis.
gone. Supposedly, he's looking pretty good in St. Louis right
Yeah,
now.
we'll see what happens in St. Louis. But, I would say Chris Johnson was more of a cancer because he was so full of himself.
Yeah. He
He
thinks
rushed for 2,000 yards and thought he was worth $25 million a year.
Yeah, he thinks he's the biggest player in the NFL.
Yeah, and he
that
lost
I play.
control of his work ethic a little bit.
Absolutely.
That is true. All right, before we get into the biggest questions of the offseason for the Tennessee Titans, we have to talk about key additions and key losses. And again, for the second day in a row, I feel like the biggest – actually, whatever. When we were talking about Houston, this is another addition. I think one of the biggest additions for this team is the new coach, Ken Wisenhunt. I actually like Ken Wisenhunt a lot. He does positive things wherever he's gone. He was great as an offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh.
Particularly at quarterback.
He brought – Kurt Warner led Arizona Cardinals to basically, 1 minute away from winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Kurt Warner wasn't the only. He had Ben Roethlisberger and Phillip Rivers on his resume as well. Yeah, I think Ken Wisenhunt's going to be a great fit for Locker. The health is still the biggest issue with him. Can he stay healthy? But he's going to be able to develop this young guy, and he can mold him into whatever kind of a passer he wants.
He's a guy. People are trying to call him like a bust because of the health things. You can't. When he's on the field, he's got real talent. The guy can move in the pocket.
Sure can.
He has some toys to play with this year, especially. He didn't really have the full season to Kendall Wright. He was only he played 7 games last year. So
Yeah.
if he has missed 14 games in the last 2 seasons. That's not a good number.
I'm a little worried about their right tackle position there. They did add Michael Oher, and from everything that I've read and seen, he was god-awful last year for Baltimore.
Yeah, they said he's going to be the most overpriced backup guard ever.
They did do some work in the draft. They got Eric Olson, and he could definitely factor in, and they definitely got some they have Taylor Lewin too. I don't know. They drafted him 11th overall. So I'm not sure why he's not just sliding right in.
They definitely made improvements to the line. The line was ranked 8th for run blocking last year. So I think that's great for Sankey. I think that there's a lot of positive things to look at here, a lot of big additions. I think that the biggest one is the guy that could emerge possibly as the rookie of the year, and that's Bishop Sankey. I mean, if the run game continue to improve like that, he's going to be in great shape. And we've seen what first-year running backs are capable of with 6 top 20 fantasy totals in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I'm scared to death of any rookie wide receiver that's mentioned. But when we talk about rookie running backs, we saw last year, it is possible to have a top running back be a rookie. Might happen this year. I'm not sure. Coming after the break, we are talking plenty about the 2014-15 Tennessee Titans. And you're listening to the Star Fantasy League show on 105.5 The Team.
The Star Fantasy League show. Information is key to being a successful fantasy team owner, and the guys have all the updated info you need right now. Okay, fantasy sports fans.
There's a letter in your mailbox.
Time to dig into Donald's mailbag for your questions and comments.
Read the mail, read the mail, read the mail.
Jump in the game. Send your questions and comments to the Star Fantasy League's team by tweeting at SFL Show.
We are back, and we are still talking about the 2014-15 Tennessee Titans. We were talking about before the break key additions and losses for this team, and I somehow neglected to mention as the top loss for this team, Rod Baronis. My Baronis.
I love Rod Baronis.
I know, me too.
How depressing is that?
It is. It's very depressing.
Who's kicking for them?
I have no idea.
Some no name. I was reading it. I didn't even process in my brain when I read it, to be
Let's
honest.
see.
This is compelling.
Maikon Banani?
Ooh. Okay, how did you not make a pun out of that?
Maikon Banani.
Oh, great! We make songs with everybody.
With also
Baronis.
Travis Coons in the running. I don't even know who these guys are.
I could honestly.
Where's Baronis?
You're gonna know.
He's gone.
Oh yeah,
he's out of the
they just
league?
Released him. They released him. I don't know that he's actually gotten somewhere yet.
I'm sure
we're gonna have to
somebody
do
will
some
pick it up.
research.
One of my favorite fantasy kickers
Yeah.
of all time.
Yeah, because
He was the
he
best.
kicked 60 yards like nobody's business.
Well,
Like,
and he got in so many situations to kick because they could never get in the end zone.
that is very true. All right, but we're talking about biggest losses and biggest additions. I think they definitely lost and upgraded on defense at the same time. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I really like Sean Phillips. I've always liked him out in San Diego, and I think he'll definitely help out in the pass rush. And then they got Wesley Woodyard, who's going to help in the inside because their rushing defense was really not that good. They ranked 20th last year. So, I mean, there's a couple of improvements, but in all honesty, I really thought they could have done a lot more.
Yeah, their secondary was all right, and they lost Alteron Werner and didn't really improve at all. So you can't really just stay stagnant in the secondary. That doesn't help.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about the aging of Sean Phillips.
Yeah, well, I understand that, but at the same time, he's still going to be he's going to be effective. You know, I mean, he's not going to do nothing. He's still solid.
I mean, it's just, is this guy kind of hitting the tail end of his career right now?
Well, he certainly could be.
I just think there's potential for that not to be as great of a pickup as it looks like on paper.
Well, I mean, he did actually notch 10 sacks last year, and if he can bring even 7 or 8 to this defense, that's going to be a big improvement.
It could be a boon.
Could be a boon.
Lovely. All right, we got to move on to the biggest offseason question for these Titans. Will this season be considered a make or break one for Jake Locker as an NFL starter?
I really hate to say it, but I think it is.
Yeah.
I really do. Because, I mean, I don't think he's gotten a fair shot, but
it's impossible to when you play. We play half the season.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he has shown sometimes you see these, big kind of freak injuries that are awful and gruesome and whatever, and players come back from them. Maybe they have one or two throughout the course of their career. But this guy, it just seems like there's a lot of fragility there.
Yeah.
He gets back in there, and he's pretty much out again. Something happens to him. And whether he's going to be able, this is going to be the year to see whether he's going to be able to get through his career or even through a year playing 16 games a season.
He's played 23 in his first 3 seasons as a quarterback in the NFL.
But why are we making such a big deal of this and not as much of a deal about Sam Bradford for St. Louis? It's the same exact thing. They're both missing significant time. Sam Bradford was the number 1 overall pick. I think Jake Locker was the 10th pick or 8th pick.
I think that has more to do with contracts than anything. Because remember,
because
Sam Bradford he was the last real number 1 pick to get paid a big contract. I mean, he had the largest in history.
So they know he's there.
Number 1.
He's the guy.
And there's really not a whole lot you can do. You have to commit to him. But yeah, I totally agree. It is kind of the same thing. At the same time, we all know that the NFL stands for a number of things, one of them being not for long. Sorry, but you just don't have a chance if you don't get on the field and stay on the field.
All right, then my biggest question is, if it is a make-or-break year for Jake Locker and he gets hurt again, why didn't they do anything about this backup situation? They got rid of your boy, Fitzpatrick's gone, but somehow they replaced him with Charlie Whitehorse, who his best film is holding a clipboard. I've actually seen some good YouTube videos.
In all honesty, I think you might be surprised by what Zach Mettenberger can do. He was a very good quarterback in college, and I think he was really underrated. Whether or not they give him a fair shot, much like Jake Locker, that's a big question.
It's the SEC thing, right? I mean, if you can play against those are NFL defenses,
I mean,
basically.
One game last season, he went up against Georgia, and he was an absolute beast. They ended up scoring 40-some-odd points. He crushed it. I think he has the capability. I'm not sure if they're going to give him a shot, though. So
I think we've seen a steady increase in Jake Locker's capabilities in these small little blips in time that we've gotten to watch him. Statistically, if you look at it, he's gotten better every year. I think he's got all the tools to be a very good quarterback in this league if he can stay healthy, and that remains to be seen. But I'm very hopeful for him. He's obviously a huge part of this offense and the future of this team if he can stay healthy.
That should have been the biggest offseason question. Can Jake Locker stay healthy? Not can he have a make or break year?
Yeah, he's definitely got the talent. He's definitely shown capabilities out there as a very smart quarterback and a pretty athletic guy. And now he's got some of those pieces in place on offense and some receivers out there that can really help him out.
He's got to stay in the pocket, too.
Is he Johnny Manziel if he shuts his mouth? Sorry, Johnny Manziel that doesn't open his mouth.
No, I don't think he runs that much. Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
I don't think he runs as much. He does not run half as much as Johnny Manziel.
It's very difficult to be like that.
Johnny Manziel is going to be scampering around like a little rat running away from light.
They're going to have to come up with a new word for getting out of the pocket just for Johnny Manziel because it's not like I don't even know how to describe it. He just he's running around with a chicken with his head
like a chicken with his head. Exactly.
Look at his. I mean, his average is 6.5 yards every time he ran with the ball. 7.1 the year before that. I think the issue is that he's run a little bit too much.
He's
He
a
needs to not.
He's a big body. He's a bruising guy. When he runs to hit people.
That's all good and well, but
dumb.
that's what's doing him in right
There
now.
you go.
So he needs to stay in the pocket, and they need an
or
offensive
when he
line
goes
that's
out
gonna-
of the pocket, get down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And try not to make that extra play.
That's the
Take after my boy Aaron. He got hit once, and that was
he's
that.
done. That's the
That was
RG3
it.
corollary. When you run, when do you get out of bounds?
Just slide, man. Learn how to
I
slide.
don't think they ever learned. Mark
Or
Sanchez never
pretty
learned.
much every quarterback that has run and gotten injured and could have gotten down.
Yep.
E.J. Manuel.
Yep.
This is true. All right, we need to move on to camp battles for the Tennessee Titans. Do you actually think Zach Mettenberger has a chance to be the backup quarterback for this team right away?
No, not right away. I think Charlie Whitehurst is a perennial backup, and
That's why I said he's really good at holding. He's good at holding the court.
For whatever reason, he just finds his way into the number 2 spot on every team.
Maybe he's really good at breaking down film for other quarterbacks.
Sure.
Like, there has to be some kind of intangible that keeps him in the league.
I just think Mettenberger was a good just taking a chance, later round prospect, a guy that's going to be sitting there for maybe a couple of years. Then again, if Jake Locker gets hurt, you might see him in a couple of games at the end of the season. So I think that the potential is there, but no, I think Jake Locker has this job. It's locked up. And,
Well, yeah, that's for sure.
That's why I meant Mettenberger as a possible backup.
oh, just as a backup?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think
he
ends up the backup on this team.
To be fair, Whitehurst never got really that many opportunities to show what he could do.
He was in San Diego. He played a little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit. A couple games. One a year, maybe.
I'm not really sure that he was the type of guy that really deserved too many opportunities.
I'm not saying he would have paid off huge, but I think he's a reliable backup at the very least.
All right, we've already spent more time talking about him than he played the entire season last year, right?
Pretty much.
All right, so I want to talk about this running back situation. We're going to combine some fantasy talk and some camp battle talk. Because Sean Green, I've seen listed as the number 1 guy on the depth chart, but everybody knows, if you look into fantasy at all, that Bishop Sankey is the guy this year, that everyone's kind of saying he's going to be the fantasy standout for Tennessee. He's basically the only guy you should be looking at from this team.
Yeah, I mean, we know what Sean Green can do, and
it was 4 years ago.
Yeah, it was 4 years, right. And I really think that this is the time where, collectively, as an offense, they need to start looking at the next pieces. We already said, Jake Locker, next man up. Wright, Hunter. This is a young group, very young group. So let's let them gel together.
Sean Green is terrible.
Okay.
He's terrible. He can't do anything in terms of versatility. He's like a give the guy the ball and get a couple yards on a meaningless third down. I don't even know. He's worthless to me. I think Dexter McCluster is the guy that is still a young guy, can come in here, can run in a bunch of different packages, can line up as a receiver. I think he's a really good extra weapon for them that they're going to try to utilize in a Darren Sproles type format.
I think ideally, or at least the way that we see everything, Sankey would be their early down workhorse, and then you have McCluster maybe on a third and long situation, or if you're just trying to play the 2-minute offense, stuff like that. Sankey, he needs to be given the opportunity, but at the same time, from what we're reading, it kind of seems like they're going to go by with a committee to start things off.
The dreaded fantasy word
does not
from
make a lot
hell.
of
I
sense.
wouldn't be surprised if Sean Green drops right out of this thing and we barely see him on the field the whole year.
I mean,
it would
why-
not surprise me at all.
Why wouldn't you go with a guy with upside? I can't believe Dexter McCluster is a running back. Like, when have you seen him run the ball?
I mean, he does like sweep plays, reverses, stuff like that. A lot of trickery, and that's a good way to use him.
He smells like a wide receiver that's just sitting
He
as a
helps.
running back.
He helps keep people on their heels. I think if they use him properly, I think it was a little because the potential for Jamal Charles to make those big types of plays in the receiving game, that was obvious. So you were going to have him out on the field anyway. With a rookie in there, having Dexter McCluster to do that type of stuff that maybe a rookie needs to really develop into to be able to be big in the receiving game, I think he can fill that role for them.
Do you think Dexter McCluster could actually have a pretty good fantasy?
Yes, I do.
Because
in PPR, absolutely.
He caught 50 balls. I think he caught 50 this year, and then like 48 the year before. If he can do that, that's a huge fantasy PPR just boom. Especially where he's getting drafted.
He's a very athletic, quick, versatile weapon.
I think that's a bit of a reach, honestly.
For where he's getting
50
drafted.
receptions? 50 receptions. So where are you putting him?
Got the last 2 years.
Where are you taking him, or where are you even putting him? Even at a flex position, I think you're reaching there, because most of the guys that you're going to want to put in a PPR league
going
in
in
flex,
he's going in the 13th round.
Yeah,
right now.
13th, 14th round.
yeah, that's fine. But when are you actually going to use a guy like that? The guys that you usually take as a flyer in those late rounds are the guys that you're hoping are going to actually be a huge boom.
Well,
like
if anything,
70,
if
80
anything
catches.
happens to Sankey, then he's going to be right there to take it up, I think, because I don't think Sean Green's going to be relevant.
Yeah, I'm not touching him. All right, what do you guys think about Bishop Sankey, 20th overall, running back, 46th in the 4th round?
I'm still waiting. I want to wait till closer to the season. I
Yeah, I
want
don't
to see
like
if this is actually what's going to happen.
Yeah, it makes me nervous. Obviously, there's tons of upside here, and potential, but this early with the way that he's going right now, you're like, I'm not going to take him in the 4th round.
Yeah.
What about these receivers? We got Kendall Wright. You loved him last year as a sleeper guy, and he was absolutely incredible, over 1,000 yards. And this is his 3rd year, which is the breakout year for wide receivers. I think he could be much better than he's going right now. 63rd overall?
I think he could be. The one thing that I did look at was that with Fitzpatrick and Hasselbeck, obviously he was great. With Locker, he was just 4 for 23 on targeting right with passes of 10 yards or more. I think they're looking to make him more disciplined in his running. I think that he's got some breakaway speed. He could do a lot. I mean, he's got upside. I don't think he'll get as many catches as last year, but yards per catch, and he only had 2 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, that is true. Those numbers are not good, but it's the 3rd year. I'm expecting these all to go up, and I actually like Kendall Wright quite a bit, much like you did last year.
I'm with you.
Coming after the break, we're talking Major League Baseball for Tuesday on StarFantasyLeagues.com and also the Star Fantasy League show on 105.5 The Team.
Play fantasy sports for cash prizes. Join the top daily and weekly fantasy leagues in the country at StarFantasyLeagues.com. Now, back to the Star Fantasy League show with Donald, Teddy Bear 2, and the Deucey Moose. Only on the Team.
We're back, and we are done talking about the 2014-15 Tennessee Titans. No more football talk for us today. We are going to break down the AFC West is up next for us, and we have the defending blown out in the Super Bowl champions, Denver Broncos.
I just want to say one more thing.
Oh, my God, of course you do.
Justin Hunter, I think, is worth a look as a sleeper.
Absolutely.
You think
He's big, he's rangy, he's athletic. He's definitely got all the sleeper characteristics.
Why is Nate Washington still the second receiver on this team?
Because he is he has been a solid guy that can catch balls.
He should not be the second
He's not a
receiver.
fantasy guy.
We know why you're saying this.
Yeah.
Why, because he was an ex-Steeler?
Yes.
Exactly.
No, I was happy when he kind of went away.
Good,
Well, so-
yeah, you should have been.
yeah.
So why are you saying anything
He's
positive
not-
about him now?
He's not going to get them anywhere.
Okay.
He's
Not
like the
gonna get
guy
them
that
anywhere.
comes in for his first game as a more relevant receiver in the offense, has 7 catches for 93 yards, and then everybody picks him up and he's terrible.
I would never, ever consider picking up him in fantasy for any reason. He's not that kind of guy. He's a football guy. He'll get you some receptions when you need him. He's a third
Good, then
receiver.
he can be a backup to Hunter and
Yeah. I think
give
by
somebody
the
else a
end of the
chance.
year, because Hunter did have a couple 100-yard plus
Yep.
games last season. He looked like he could be this year's Kendall Wright.
Yeah, he's a beast.
On the same team with Kendall Wright. That's why I
well,
like,
he's a stronger, bigger, deeper guy. I think Kendall Wright is a
yeah,
more
between the
stealthy,
tackles guy.
athletic type. Yeah.
I like that's
We
why
love him.
I like Jake Locker a lot in 2 quarterback leagues, to be honest.
Oh,
As
absolutely.
a second guy, I think he could be a
Absolutely.
sneaky guy as long as you have a backup for him late in the draft.
Got a high
Like
ceiling.
Fitzy.
Don't you ever bring up Fitzy again. Ugh, dirty talk.
We'll see.
All right, so we got a full slate on StarFantasyLeagues.com for today. 15 full games going off. And, man, there are some aces galore tonight. And I'll be honest, I don't like a lot of them.
I only like one of them.
Really? Okay, good. So we're in agreement here. I don't know about you, Nick.
All right, I only love one of them.
That's okay. Yeah, this is the thing. When there are 4 or 5 guys on one night that are so expensive, you can't love all of them. There are 4 guys over 19,000. That's a large number if you're trying to pick up some aces in your lineup.
So, who do we love?
I'm assuming it's all the same guy. You just want to fight and say it's somebody different.
No, tell me who it is.
It's Felix.
Yeah.
Okay, it's got to be
my
King.
man Felix.
It's got to be King Felix. He has the best matchup of anybody. Clayton Kershaw is up to 23,500 on StarFantasyLeagues.com. He's the guy that's matchup proof. We have to say this over and over again. But when you have a matchup against the Angels, don't like it. Second against lefties.
This is a matchup that everybody needs to watch because the Angels are quickly becoming a candidate to upset some action in the American League.
Yeah, if they pass Oakland, oh boy.
And if the Dodgers can continue the way that they're going, I think they have a great shot at getting through the National League. We could see an all-LA World Series. Could happen.
Is this what you're predicting now?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, keep an eye on this.
I thought the Cardinals were going to the World Series.
No, the
Hold
Red
on.
Sox are going. Duh.
We're not. Yeah, we're not. We may not get an all LA, but we're gonna get an all California World Series. That's probably gonna happen.
What about the Tigers, Detroit?
Who?
Okay, anyways,
Oh,
moving
there
on
it
from
is.
John's insanity over there. Yeah, King Felix has got to be the pick. I know Price is pitching tonight. I'm excited to see what he's got against the Yankees. Cueto's got Cleveland. That's not a very good shot.
That's one of the worst matchups I've seen on the board.
Yeah, although Cueto's good, don't forget, he is very good.
But he is a guy that recently, I mentioned this last time he pitched, he has trouble getting over that 12 fantasy point barrier. And when you're around 20,000, I at least want to see a guy that can get up to 15
He has trouble
points.
getting run support.
No. I'm
yeah.
saying this is from his strikeout numbers haven't been great as of late.
Yeah, well, but he does. I mean, he keeps the score low.
They're
He usually
solid,
only gives
yeah.
up a run or two. I mean, he should be good. He should be in line for at least approaching, if not in double digits.
Yeah,
But Felix, I think he could go for 15 to 18 points tonight.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
He could just start. I think B.J. Upton's going to strike out 4 times.
I think the Upton brothers can combine for 6 strikeouts.
Yeah, this could be
happen.
one of those special nights for him.
Is that an over/under? Do we have a number of Upton strikeouts? by
Number of
Felix?
Upton strikeouts. We can put it at 5 if you want.
Oh, over. I want more than that. It might honestly happen. We could just be fooling ourselves, but it's Atlanta. They love to strike out. 6th in the league, 27th against righty. I mean, these numbers are just beautiful for him. Felix is pitching at home. I know it really doesn't matter all that much, but it's Seattle.
Put in Felix and put in Fernando Rodney because Seattle has not been giving Felix any run support. They haven't been getting any runs at all.
Yeah, it's
so
like 2-1
put in Fernando
games,
Rodney
3-2
too.
game. It's garbage.
And you could be in line for a very nice night from your
Although,
pitchers.
on the other side of that, I mean, we mentioned there's a lot of expensive guys, but Alex Wood going against Seattle, you just mentioned it. They can't score at all.
The only thing is you really can't. I can't do that tonight because you're going to get the win. Hopefully, get the win from Felix, and then you're going to probably get a loss from Wood, which is just cannibalizing points. I just don't know if I could do that tonight.
That is true, especially when there are 15 games going on. I do like a couple other guys that are some value picks, but they may be a little more out there. But man, if you're reaching for Felix and you kind of have to tonight, you got to get some kind of value in
How
there.
about my boy Danny Duffy?
No, man,
Why don't you want to talk about? I want to talk about ERA, John. I really do because I think that you think it's a completely arbitrary stat, and at this point in the season, his 2.42 ERA is something to talk about. If he can keep the run down, if he can keep the score down, then at 9,500, you're looking at hitting value, no problem.
See, the problem with that is ERA is one thing. ERA means nothing when you're talking about fantasy. The guy, I mean...
No, I disagree. That's why I wanted to talk about it. I completely disagree. Go ahead.
I'm looking over his last 10 starts. I see one game over 10 fantasy points, and the rest of them are between 4 and 6.
That is perfectly fine for that price. That is exactly what you're looking for at that price.
But I mean, if I'm at that, I want at least a little bit of upside, and that's why I think for the money, I'm more interested in Charlie Morton tonight. I know he's a little bit more expensive than Danny Duffy, but I like the Miami matchup. Pittsburgh at home in this matchup. Charlie Morton's actually been pretty good.
Yeah, but Miami's been hitting right-handers really well lately.
I know, but Morton's also faced Miami, had 8.5 fantasy points. I feel like this is the thing if you've seen his team before, and they are as mediocre as Miami has been. I know they are coming on a little bit.
All right, I'll take my Duffy against your Chucky.
Okay, that's Duffy against your Chucky.
So
Wow.
Is there like a fantasy spread on that based on the salaries, or is this straight up?
I don't know. You're the mediator here.
It's gotta be
You're in the
straight
middle. We'll let you figure that one out.
It's gotta be straight up. Come on now. Come on, be on my team,
Well,
Zach.
he's the one
Straight
that
up.
it's
Get
got to be
outta
straight
here.
up. He offered it up.
That is true. But I mean, again, there are so many pitchers I like. I haven't even mentioned my favorite pitcher of the night, Dallas Keuchel, against
Yeah, I really like. That's a good matchup.
Philadelphia team that we've mentioned has the most overpriced hitters in the league and can't hit for balls. They're just awful.
Yeah, no, I mean, how many times have we talked about Ryan Howard? He can't hit lefties to save his life.
No, we can't.
So
Especially
yeah,
good
no, I like that
lefties.
one. It's just so tough because if you really want to get Felix Hernandez in there, you're not going to be playing him. So I mean, I think you have to go with one of two strategies: high, low, or you have to go somewhere in the middle there. And then I think Keuchel's definitely a look.
Yeah, I might. I'm going to try to get Keuchel and Felix in there, and then go with one of the really inexpensive guys.
Good
But
luck.
man, it's going to be difficult.
Who are you going to put in? Colby Lewis?
We're not going to talk about this anymore.
Well, we have
no.
to talk about him because that's our stack of the day.
That is true. All right, we're talking about pitchers quite a bit because there are a lot of them. That's what we started with. But we are moving on to stacks. That's when you put in anywhere from 2 to 4 offensive players on your team. 4 is the maximum on StarFantasyLeagues.com. And the glaring red beacon of hope is shining brightly upon this. Yeah.
David Price.
No, for stacks.
Oh.
Stacks. Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead. Get your stack of the day in there.
Well, the White Sox are really solid against right-handers, and Colby, what? Are you upset?
Yeah, because you have all of
I
my
said
plays.
it's our stack of the day. Literally,
Yeah, we
all
agree.
three of us
Yep.
agree on this. So.
I mean, well, hold on. There's 2 games that are just atrocious. You forgot the 10.5 spread in that Chicago Cubs-Colorado game.
I am so sick of looking at the Rockies.
So am I.
Because they're inconsistent. They have injury problems all the time. There's nothing to be optimistic about.
Their over-unders are really not indicative of the way that this season is going anymore because all of those injuries have to factor in.
All right, you keep saying this, but when a different team plays there and they're going up against, okay, Brett Anderson hasn't been terrible, but there are a couple
I actually
guys.
like him tonight.
There are a couple guys on the Cubs that I'm actually okay with. Chris Coughlin's been hitting really well. He's hitting .461 against lefties. That's weighted on base average. He's only 52.89. I have him as one of my values of the day. And then Rizzo, man. Rizzo's been on an absolute tear the past 3 weeks.
Rizzo's the shizzo.
Yes, great. He's still under 9,000 on StarFantasyLeagues.com. If you're putting in a tiny stack with Coughlin and Rizzo and then taking a couple guys from the Rockies, I'm perfectly okay with putting 4 guys from this game in.
I'm just not touching the Rockies. I'm so sick of dealing with them.
All right, then spend the next couple minutes talking about the stack that you guys are clearly interested in. I like it as well. But go ahead. You got, what's his name? Colby Chewis? Is it Chud Lewis? We combine those 2 names together?
Yeah. Well, all I'm saying is that Colorado has not been scoring as many runs as they should.
I know. That's why I'm more interested in the Cubs.
Yeah, but Anderson is actually doing really well.
I know, but
all right,
okay.
whatever. All
he's
right,
averaging 1.8 fantasy points at home as opposed to 6 on the road. So,
all right.
Again, it's Colorado. Weird things happen.
Let's talk about the White Sox and the fact that Jose Abreu has a juicy matchup against Colby Lewis. Got to put him in. And then your boy last night, Tyler Flowers, you got to put him in for value because
play of the night, baby.
We're talking about putting in Felix over 20,000 and then Abreu over 10,000.
Yeah.
There's over a third of your salary there.
How about a guy that's near the minimum on StarFantasyLeagues.com, almost batting for the cycle? He would have had a chance at it if that game didn't get rained out. He had a triple, a home run, and a single, and he would have got another at bat.
I think you throw in Gordon Beckham too if he's playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's 3 guys that'll get you some. Well, 2 guys that'll get you some value.
I like Dunn still. I know that it's
he is the definition of fantasy
boomer.
boomer
He's
bust.
totally boomer
it's
bust.
Ridiculous.
But still sitting at 6,100, 4th in this order. Should have some great bats around him tonight. Batting behind Abreu.
That's a great place to be.
This lineup is full of lefties. It's just ridiculous. You got Eaton up top. You got Daza at the bottom. They're just, if you want to get some value, Daza's really inexpensive. Eaton's kind of inexpensive if you're on 7,200. I just like anybody with that stands as a lefty. Honestly, that's what I'm looking at.
I agree with you. When I was looking at the full list of this team, which I looked at yesterday too. It's crazy how many lefties there are.
Yeah, that's why they are really good against one side and really poor against the other, and that the stats actually say that.
You think that's a managerial strategy?
No.
Didn't we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier in the baseball season, but I'm not so sure that managers really take a look at the advanced statistics the way that we do.
I don't think they do.
Well, even if they're like, oh, look at there's 7 of 9 lefties in our lineup. That's a little weird. It's a little bit out of the box. I mean, compared to the sheer odds, if it was righties, that happens all the time. But the fact that it's all lefties.
Yeah, the Indians are exactly the same way. They're really, really good against righties because they have 8 lefties in their lineup. It's insane. Some of them are actually really good. 2 other stacks I'm looking at pretty closely. Mark Burley is. Baltimore has some nice.
He's fallen right off. I agree.
Yeah, Baltimore has some nice power righties. Adam Jones, 473 weighted on base average. Pierce, Nelson Cruz has really fallen off though.
Yeah, Nelson Cruz is having a horrible second half of the season.
He went from almost 11,000. He's at 8,600 right now, and I still wouldn't touch him.
No, yeah, I think he's had 1 home run in the past 3-4 weeks.
What about Hardy? You can get Hardy in there for really expensive. He had a pretty good night last night.
Yeah.
No, not so happy about
Hardy
that?
burns me, man. I mean, he's so up or down.
And then don't forget about the Texas Rangers in that game. It's a 9 over/under. John Danks, nah.
Oh, and Rios.
Yeah, baby.
Gotta have Rios.
Gotta get Rios. Maybe some Beltre if you can afford them. Odor's really inexpensive.
I don't feel bad for Nelson Cruz at all.
No, okay, great. Of course you don't. All right, coming up the break, we're getting all our top plays of the day for Tuesday Major League Baseball. And you're listening to the Start Fantasy League show on 105.5 The Team.
You're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show. Contact the StarFantasyLeagues.com guys via Twitter at SFL Show.
We are back on the Star Fantasy League show, and you have just over an hour to set your lineups on StarFantasyLeagues.com for Tuesday.
Testing. We are testing our season-long NFL fantasy football software.
Yeah,
Looks so good.
How exciting is that? Because we actually got to, before we went on the air yesterday, we did a mock draft in the office with all the people here. I know a couple people don't know anything about football, and we're picking like just funny names, but that was a lot of fun, I'll be honest.
Well, it looks great, and I mean, the guys have done such an amazing job. I can't wait to see how everybody feels about it because, man, having a season-long format is just going to be a ton of fun to play around with.
Season-long and daily in one spot, one-stop fantasy shop. That's startfantasyleagues.com. That just sounds right, doesn't it?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. I had to steal a page from your book. Sorry. But we are talking about baseball. Football is coming up in the next couple weeks. You'll see the contest actually up at the end of this week for football for week 1. It's close. It's happening.
Big money, baby.
I'm excited. I saw the salaries today. They all look perfect. Gonna make some teams. Gonna get excited.
Ready to go.
But we are talking about baseball. Got to get your top plays in there for Tuesday. Major League Baseball. Do not put in Jake Locker, please. Don't do it.
Kendall Wright.
That's certainly not the right pick.
God love him.
Frankie.
God love him.
All right, pick your top plays for baseball so our listeners can get some value. God.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna pitch Felix Hernandez.
Surprise. Wow, you really went out there on a limb, Zach.
I let you go first, and this is what happened.
Who's at 20,600, 9.69 Ks per 9.
It's Felix. We don't need a resume.
Atlanta, 21.7 K percentage, fourth to last in WOBA versus righties. Poo. And my play of the day is going to be Abreu at 10,400 with a 986 OPS and 24 home runs, which is just silly against righties.
He just had his 20-something game hitting streak broken, and then went out and hit 2 more hits the next night.
Yep.
So.
And then I'm doing it again with Adam Dunn because I believe since I didn't get mine last night,
Tonight's the night.
Adam Dunn goes boom boom.
Tonight is the night.
You're not jumping on the Tyler Flowers bandwagon?
No, I think you guys are already on it.
No,
I don't know if there's enough.
I'm going to put him in, but he's not my play of the day. I don't want to pick him twice in a row.
No, I have a different strategy.
All right, go ahead.
All right, my play of the day since Zach has Abreu, I'm going to put in Nick Markakis because he actually hits very, very well against Mark Burley. He's at 6,800, reverse splits kind of guy, so I'm going to take a chance on that one. He's going to be the batter of the day. My value play of the day, because my pitcher of the day is Felix Hernandez as well, I'm going to put in a pitcher, Danny Duffy. I really like Danny Duffy. He has a low ERA, and I know that that's not something that you look at the beginning of the season, but at this point in the season, you just can't ignore it. He's at 9,500. And then I'm going to say stack the Oakland A's because Drew Smyly is on the hill for his first start in Tampa Bay. Sorry, Drew.
Wow, that was just sorry, Drew.
Sorry, Drew.
That's all you got for Drew Smyly.
Smyly.
I love that we have Smiley Miley going for the second time in a couple weeks. I like when they play on the same night. I'm going a little weird here. I'm going with the Chicago Cubs. I'm going with Anthony Rizzo for my batter of the day at Colorado. He has been on fire recently. Doesn't matter who he's up against. I know Brett Anderson's been okay. At home, he has not been as good as he has been on the road. I'm okay with that. For value of the day, Chris Coughlin has been on fire as well, and he's got a nice little price tag there, $5,200. Pitcher of the day, Dallas Keuchel. If you're not spending for Felix or any of those other guys up there, Dallas Keuchel could be the centerpiece of your pitching team.
I like it.
And then for stack of the day, you know what? I'm going to go with Baltimore against Mark Burley. I liked your Markakis play. Adam Jones can be really good.
I would just stay away from Nelson Cruz now because he's got the plague apparently.
Yeah,
or maybe they cut his dosage a little short.
No, he caught Ebola. It's in the U.S. He caught Ebola. He's done.
I thought
surprise! Mark Burley has fallen off.
No way. I couldn't have seen this coming.
We didn't anticipate that at all.
No.
Should we do a 3-way high five?
Thanks,
guys. Leave me hanging.
Maybe after the show.
All right, guys. Thanks. Season long is coming for football. Football is coming in general.
Yes.
Just tweet us at SFL Show. Get some free value on StarFantasy.com. $5 free. Play in all of our thousands of guaranteed prize pools. I love it. I'm so excited. This is the best time of the year. Football is almost upon us.
Unless you're with Jacksonville.
Well, yeah, football's already over. All right, if you guys didn't know that Mark Burley was going to fall off a cliff, you haven't been listening to this show at all. Take it easy, guys.